Welcome to Miss Martin Muses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, where we muse upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Well, today we are talking about something that makes me very, very happy, and it is the return of the king. We are finally at the return of the king, and I am welcomed here by my usual guests. We have Princess Rennie.
Hi, Teresa. Thanks as always for having me here. It's a real honor to talk amongst intelligent and awesome people about stuff that I really like. So, very happy to be here with you and Steek today.
Well, thank you. We've got it. We've got them fooled, Steek. So, and all the way from the future, it is none other than Steek Kenobi.
Hi. The
Hi.
future is not more intelligent.
It,
It gets worse. So sorry, spoiler.
fuck. Okay. Well, yeah. We were hoping. We were hoping. But thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. And we have here in our lovely chat, we have the animal himself, the polar bear, sort of Poopus Cooper. Thank you. We love our animals here at Miss Martin Muses. We have Keck44. Thank you, Keck, for modding for me. You are awesome. And Shane Nolan. Shane is always here, all the way from the Emerald Isle. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And everyone is saying hi to everybody. Yes, hello, hello, hello. And we may be having some of our other panels showing up. Got issues like working and little people, all those
They're
sorts of.
they're doing drugs.
You're not supposed to tell people secrets.
I was
They're
gonna
in
say.
they're in kind of small rooms, doing opium.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh! You're talking about Lady Toriel and Lady Gravemaster. Oh my gosh! Oh, Stig. No words, no words. Just maybe they'll get revenge on you later. Maybe they'll get revenge on you later. I'm gonna tattletale for sure. I'm gonna tattletale for sure. Well, we are now starting on the third book of the Lord of the Rings. The third book we have none other than Return of the King. Return of the King. And as I'm rereading it and looking at the chapters that are ahead and everything that happens, I'm just going to declare at the outset that this is my favorite book of the trilogy. For just basically for what I just said. Every chapter has things that I just adore and are so deep and intense. It has a great ending, great character moments with everybody.
Yeah, it's time to wrap all these, loose ends up with a nice, neat bow. And he does it very nicely, but he also does it very quickly and it's just action packed. So I can see why you love it.
Yep, balls to the wall, balls to the wall. Of course, we will get to the most perfect chapter ever toward the end.
Dear.
Yes. But good for you, lucky for you all. He will not be making an appearance for a while. So, yay! You are safe from any Faramir drooling. But we begin with Gondor. Gondor, we are on chapter 1. And it is Minas Tirith. Minas Tirith.
Ooh.
Yes, when I was reading this again this week, it just really struck me how different Minas Tirith is. Even though it is the world of men, we got to see the Rohirrim in their world of men, but holy shite. Minas Tirith is kind of badass. It really is. Just the whole architecture and the way you see it describes all of the layers of it, but also we get to meet a lot of really cool characters.
I have a massive Minas Tirith map. It's as big as a dining table almost.
Oh, that's really cool.
It's from one of the old Lord of the Rings role playing games, which used official art, by the way. So they stuck to the Tolkien stuff, and it has every building and stuff is marked, so you can see what's in each building.
That's really cool.
Can see where the tailor lives and all.
Oh, okay, Stieg, either you send that to me yourself and make the sacrifice, or you show me where I can order it on eBay. Holy crap, that sounds badass.
That sounds really cool. Yeah.
No, if you want it, you can have it. It's just in a drawer anyway.
Oh, well, no, I don't want to take something like. Well, actually, I will take something like that from you.
Second thought.
On second thought, I don't have to be nice. No, but I mean, well, no, I have tons of Lord of the Rings stuff, but nothing like that. Well, since you brought it up, some of those things about Minas Tirith, do you want to tell us a little bit about Minas Tirith, Stieg? How you feel about the introduction to it and how Minas Tirith is in this world of men.
I haven't read the books in over 10 years, so I can't remember. But I remember being very interested when I read that chapter for the first time, because Lord of the Rings is kind of a book you do remember the first time, right?
Yeah,
because it's so good. It kind of fires up what you what you're waiting for, which is the final fight, in a sense.
Yeah.
It really builds that up, and you can and you get to see what Boromir was talking about when he was mentioning Minas Tirith and all that. So cool place. Not my favorite place in Middle Earth, though.
No. Yeah. Well, I'm just looking at some of the descriptions of it, just the white stones and the white paved court, and they say a sweet fountain played there in the morning sun, and in the midst, drooping over the pool, stood a dead tree, and the falling drops dripped sadly from its barren and broken branches. Pippin glanced at it. It looked mournful, he thought, and he wondered why the dead tree was left in this place. And he thought, 7 stars and 7 stones and 1 white tree. Rather, sorry, the words that Gandalf had murmured came back to him in his mind. He didn't think about that randomly. 7 stars and 7 stones and 1 white tree. The lore just in that one sentence, and you're just like, that's everything. And I know they showed it in the movie. I need to double check with some of the descriptions here, but they had that 1 white tree on their insignias and things, if I recall correctly.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah. And then as they're about ready to meet Denethor, Gandalf says, "Be careful of your words, Master Peregrine. This is no time for hobbit pertness. Theoden is a kindly old man. Denethor is of another sort." It's like, yeah. And then he also tells him he will speak most to you because you can tell him of his son Boromir. He loved him greatly, too much, perhaps. And then he's like, and it's for Aragorn, let me do it. And Pippin's like, why not? What's wrong with Strider? Like, well, let me tell you a little bit. And this is getting us ready for Denethor. And already that they're showing, look, there is a grave contrast between the two of them. And of course, we know that a lot of it has to do with Denethor being corrupted. But also who Denethor is, because he is actually the steward. And maybe not too crazy about Aragorn showing up.
He has spent his life sitting on the smaller throne next to the big one.
Yeah, because they have like the little steward's throne, and then they have the king's throne.
Yeah, that has to mess with his head over time, especially if it's being corrupted.
Yes.
Thinking he, deserves the big throne. Maybe he even does, though, because he's been taking care of the whole country for decades. So that
so
alone,
he kind of has that sense of entitlement, you feel like.
Yeah, but he has earned it too, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. And for sure, I'll bet you that the Palantir was messing with his head enough, also just really poking at him. It's like, you're just sitting there. You're just sitting there on this little throne. You're just sitting there. No, you've been giving up, your whole country. You've been fighting. You even lost your oldest son, and these stupid losers are just going to bring this new king. You suck. That definitely was well, you know what I mean? I don't know if the Palantir exactly spoke like that, but that's what it was saying to him.
I mean, it poisoned his brain for years, and he just allowed it to take over, his thought process. And with that, plus the fact that it's like, well, I've been protecting this city forever. It's my men that have died, not Aragorn's, or not the men of Numenor. And so, of course, he's going to feel like it's his,
Yeah.
And kind of righteously so, but at the same time, not so great.
Mm-hmm.
This is one thing I think is interesting about like the cartoon version of Denethor, like from the old Rankin Bass cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
I think they depict him a little bit better than the movie does because they just make him look so much more sinister. And in the movie, you do realize that Denethor does have a little bit of a heart left, and he is a human. Even though sometimes I don't really like thinking of him that way because he just seems so cold,
Yeah.
But in the cartoon, he just seems so corrupted and inhuman to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, John Noble is playing him, and he looks evil.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. He can't help it though.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it suffered a little bit from movie must show things quickly. They don't always have a lot of time for nuance. There is a moment where you see some nobility with Denethor's description. And it says here, what Denethor looked indeed much more like a great wizard than Gandalf did, more kingly, beautiful, and powerful, and older. So that's probably didn't come across at all in what they were showing because they were trying to lead us to where Denethor's story was going to lead us to being batshit crazy and setting himself on fire.
Yeah.
And we've already spoken on this stream before about his great Olympian feat, the way it was shown in the movie, rather sillily.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He was set on fire and ran 50 miles.
Yeah, I'm just like, if you were on fire, would you want to feel yourself burning for that long, running like what feels like a marathon?
Exactly. And everyone just sits and watches. Oh, there he goes. Shane Nolan says the family of stewards have been ruling for over 1,000 years. Hello, Mayor McCheese, with your bacon. We all like bacon here at Miss Martin Muses.
Oh,
we
yeah.
have Jacob Ironside has shown up. And Snorta Poopus Cooper says Denethor was just 2 years older than Aragorn, but he was prematurely aged from the effects of using the Palantir.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. But also, didn't Aragorn kind of have some like super blood in him or something because of who he was?
Yeah, he's Numenorian. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was also an aspect of it as well.
Same thing I have because I don't age.
I'm not drinking your blood to get it.
Yeah, just thank you. No.
Please don't.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just gonna pass over that.
Well, here's the thing, though. My name means wanderer, so that's almost Strider, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ranger. Well,
lazy ranger.
A lazy ranger. Well, for a while, I remember you had on your bio that not all who wander are lost, which is, of course, a great quote.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Pippin is not entirely...
Well, not all who wander are lost, except liberals. They're lost as shit.
Oh, my gosh. Well, you heard it here first, everyone. You heard it here first. Hello, Keely Chow. Thank you for being here. Uh, and then Pippin swears himself to service to Denethor, partly out of emotion. Yeah, the memory
Boromir.
of Boromir. Yeah. Jacob Ironside said, "Was it the Palantir or Sauron that messed with his head?" Well,
I, th- I think it was Sauron through the Palantir, and I
correct.
think
Yes.
the same thing happened with Saruman
Yes, yes, he was using it for it.
because he was basically showing them that yeah, you're gonna lose. He probably showed him, a vision of the white tree burning or something, like Frodo saw,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and with Galadriel. So basically, they were seeing what may come to pass,
Well,
but
and I
they
feel
didn't
like he
know.
showed him Aragorn as well as like, well, he's gonna usurp you anyways. So, yeah,
Yeah,
So showed him Aragorn setting him on fire or something.
yeah.
yeah.
There you go.
Oh gosh. Well, and then we run into some of the happy people of Minas Tirith. Not all of them have issues. We have Baragond. Yay! I like
Yay.
him.
Yeah,
He's
he seems
you
like a
know,
nice guy.
yeah, what a nice guy. I am named
Yeah.
Baragorn, son of Baranor. I have no duty this morning, and I've been sent to you to teach you the passwords and to tell you some of the many things that no doubt you will wish to know. He is a guard of the city, if I'm correct. If I miss his title, please forgive me. It's really cute, and a little bit of exposition happens because he's like, Aragorn, who is he? And and also there's a really really cute part where Pippin goes to Shadowfax in the stable, and it's like, oh, look at the horsey. So, just really, really good points. And I think it's Barragan's son that he hangs out with a bit. So, there are really, really good character moments here with Pippin, with the really intense moments with Denethor and first impressions, but also he's starting to get to know the people of Minas Tirith. And
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was cute.
Well, and I think it's cool to see the difference in culture between Gondor and Rohan. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the to me the Gondorians, maybe because a lot of them are from, are descended from Numenor, they just seem a lot more regal.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in touch with a lot of elven language and ways of life, which I think are cool because they call Gandalf Mithrandir, which is his
Yes.
elven name, which is really awesome. So it's just kind of interesting to see the difference between the two cultures of men, or the two main cultures of men that they focus on.
Yeah. It's also a center of learning because that's where the library is. That's where the lore is kept. They have monuments, things made out of stone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Almost, if you were to compare it to a human city, it it would be more like what Paris might have been like in the Middle Ages or even Rome, a center of learning, monuments, and all that. While the people of Rohan were more the horse people and
Well,
comparable to the Vikings.
yeah,
Yeah.
very comparable to the Vikings. I always thought uh, Minas Tirith was like Alexandria, with a library got burned,
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Good point.
because it's probably the biggest library on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit. You want to talk about something that'll make a woman weep, and it's totally would bring us totally off topic, but yes, the knowledge and everything that was lost from there. And that perhaps this is what they are looking to lose with the fall of men. That maybe it's like the last stand of men, and if it falls, it all falls with it. And of course, if Minas Tirith falls, well, then what kind of kingdom do you have?
Absolutely. And I mean, that thing is freaking massive. And I love how they represented it in the movie. I think they did a great job, especially showing like the 7 layers, showing it coming out of the mountain with that big like hull of the ship kind of thing looking thing. And I
Keel.
love the tree of Gondor. It's just all great. It's amazing.
Yeah. Pupus Cooper says Gandalf said that the blood of Numenor ran nearly true in Denethor and Faramir. Oh well, Faramir. For blood.
Oh, here we go.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. He said the magic word for blood red spirit in a somewhat metaphysical sense. It didn't in Boromir, who was like a middleman in attitude. Oh, that's an interesting point of view.
Yeah.
And how sweet your boyfriend.
Yeah.
I guess you're the loveliest. Well, I guess that's a good thing. You know that.
I mean, yeah.
Like, no, I want to hear the sexiest Steve Kenobi. No, that just wouldn't work. Yeah. He said, "Hail to."
Thank you.
Oh,
Oh,
out of context. What he said, the sexiest renegade. He said, "Hail and good day to you, sexy bastards, especially the sexiest renegade." Lovely.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sort of Poopa says, "I'm not sexy, but I am a bastard."
Oh my god.
You all are awesome. Maybe you all are awesome. And Barragand, I hope I'm saying his name right.
It's Baragond and Baragil.
Oh,
Baragil is the kid, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, Baragond is the dad, right?
Correct,
No.
yes. And he'd even warned him that people would look at you like you were a kid. And there's just really cool stuff with Baragil when he's meeting Pippin, and they just have a fun conversation. He said, "I'm Baragil, son of Baragond of the Guards." And he looks at him like he's a peer, and he's like, "Well, you know, I kind of look like I'm your same height, but I'm not." But it said that Baragil proved a good comrade, the best company.
Oh.
The best company Pippin had since he parted from Merry, and soon they were laughing and talking gaily as they went about the streets. So, you know, he showed him around. I thought that this was really cool. Just really fun. Oh, I like the way he lets us just sit in Minas Tirith. So we kind of know what they're going to be fighting for and the lay of the land of what they're going to be when they're having the big battle.
Well, I think it's really awesome that he and his cousin kind of become part of each side of the cultures. Like Merry becomes like a man of Rohan almost, and Pippin becomes a man of Gondor. And I just think that's really amazing how these guys just kind of accept them as one of their own until, of course, it comes battle time. But it's really interesting to see that, you know, yeah, they're these little bitty 3-foot guys, but they just treat them like regular people, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, I just love it. I mean, I'm just sitting here looking at these things. And after Pippin has his fun Pippin's Day out and he goes to bed, suddenly he's awakened in the night by a light, and he saw that Gandalf had come and was pacing to and fro in the room beyond the curtain of the alcove. There were candles on the table and rolls of parchment. He heard the wizard sigh and mutter, "When will Faramir return?" Of course, that's what I was thinking.
Which is what you mutter too.
Oh, no.
Well, that too. But I love it the way that he masterfully kind of brings it back. We have this fun day out. We're starting to love this culture. We love this cute little kid, and Pippin's all cute, and they're all seeing it. And then it reminds us, oh, crap is going on. Gandalf is very disturbed. And of course, he wants Faramir to return like me. And Pippin goes, "Hello. I thought you had forgotten all about me. I'm glad to see you back. It's been a long day." And then Gandalf goes, "But the night will be too short. I have come back here, for I must have a little peace alone. You should take sleep in a bed while you may. At the sunrise, I shall take you to Lord Denethor again. No, when the summon comes, not at sunrise. The darkness has begun. There will be no dawn."
Oh, it's so dark.
Dun, dun, dun.
There's a link in the private chat, by the way.
Yes, I see this, Steve. I am gonna thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and share that. So wow. So they're like literally losing their sunlight. Well, that sucks. I don't know. Let me see. I'm sharing this. So, you bastard, where are you? Here we go. Boom. Look at that.
Oh,
I'm gonna make it big.
is that that big tablecloth map?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's in the book. Let's see. Looks like. See if this works.
Hello, Kelvington. Thank you for being here.
There you go.
Hey, Kelvington.
There's a picture of the book, which is it's role-playing game book sized, and you can see how it's half the map, right?
Wait.
Next to it.
Okay, yeah, I just saw Tyrone. What the?
Oh no! Please don't highlight that comment.
I started to. I started to.
Like, oh God, no.
Okay. All right. Let me go. let me let me look at this other one. Okay.
Yeah, that's
It's
what
an
they mean by
aerial view of Minas Tirith where you can see the various layers.
they're supposed to blow the horn of Gondor, not that one.
Oh no.
Oh, see why? Why do you have to do that to me?
Oh no.
Oh boy. Well, the good news, Father is on sabbatical, so he won't be popping in.
Dodged a bullet.
It's like, dang it, he's gonna show up right when that happens. All right. Well, let me see. Can I make this bigger? I don't know, Steve.
No, you can't. It was
Okay.
but you can see the scale though.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Badass.
So that's a book against the map.
Yeah, this book is
Okay.
about the size. Yeah, it's about the size of the classic role playing game books. So pretty big, and the map is like a fourth or more,
Wow.
4 times or more larger than the book itself. So it takes up the whole damn table.
Yeah.
And cool artwork on the book.
Yeah.
I have 4 of these. A friend of mine found them somewhere and asked if I wanted them.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, I have Minas Tirith and 3 other Gondor books. Yes, Nora Pupas, that is indeed the MERP book.
Okay.
MERP is Middle Earth role playing.
Oh,
okay.
That's
good
interesting.
to know. I'm gonna keep my eyeballs open.
It's from the early 90s, I think. Late 80s, early 90s.
Mm-hmm. That's badass. Yeah, Ancient One says that the map alone looks like something you would see in a D&D book. Exactly, as said, great minds think alike. And then Tyron...
Rather, it's what you used to see in a D&D book. You don't get shit like this anymore.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know, it's...
Maps are offensive because, the orcs can't read.
Oh, that's true.
And, I am not going to highlight what Tyron Beard said.
I know.
He's being naughty.
Which one? The Dungeons and Dildos one?
Yes, that was the one.
Okay. Yeah, don't highlight that one.
Sorry, Teresa.
Well, what can I say? Well, there we go. Jacob Martin said, I attempted to make a Minas Tirith out of paper mache. I failed. Oh. But hey, but why not? I love homemade stuff like that. I think that's badass.
Imagine a Minas Tirith made out of gingerbread.
Oh my gosh, that would be the toughest to make gingerbread house, wouldn't it?
Probably.
Oh. Probably fall down because, think about it. I mean, you have to do it in a circle, and you have to do the 7 layers, and I don't know. I don't want that challenge.
Oh, challenge accepted for next Christmas. Why not?
Who can make the best Minas Tirith gingerbread house?
Maybe start with something easy like Bayon's house or something.
Yeah.
Just squirt honey all around it.
Oh my gosh. Metaseld would be fairly easy.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say I was gonna do it. I mean, I'm more than happy to ask someone else to do it.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. I
Yeah,
hate
same.
baking.
That's too lazy. Um, well, not that there's anything wrong with that. Not that there's anything wrong with that at all. Jane Nolan says, "Strange, I'm not seeing Tyrants." Any comments? Odd. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm seeing them. Maybe they're the EU is messing things up. I don't know. They're like, "Oh, that's offensive. We don't talk about something that rhymes with mildews."
I got censored for something on YouTube the other day in a chat, like where I think like one of the YouTube bots got me, and I think it was for the word suck. I'm like, really?
Well, it depends on the context, of
Well, it
course.
wasn't talking about, anything sexual, but it's just like, what? Okay. Well, that sucks.
Oh my gosh. Well, they suck. How's that?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I'm getting ready for our next chapter, which is the passing of the Gray Company. I
Woot.
love this chapter. Actually, I love the first chapter. I love this one too. I love
This is a
all
good
chapters.
chapter.
Yeah, because we go back to Rohan.
Can I have an off-topic kind of, well, maybe on topic, I don't know, question?
Sure.
When we're done with the Lord of the Rings, will we be doing the Silmarillion in the same fashion?
Oh, wow.
No.
Because that way we might even make some sense of that damn book.
I mean, that's a good suggestion, but it's a really, oh my God, that is like the hardest book I think I've ever read in my life. Because there's so
Wow.
much detail, and you have to keep up with who is who and what is what and where is where.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. Okay,
But if
wait, who was this again?
But if it's 2 chapters, it's manageable.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Well, you know what? I first said no, but you just made a good case for it, Steeg.
Plus, if we do that, there's a reason for me to read the fucking thing.
That's true.
I have it on my
Motivation.
reading list, and if I prepare myself by reading 2 chapters at a time, I'll get through it.
Oh, so you've never gotten through it?
Man.
I got through it once, I think, but it was just I was like 14 or something, and I was like, "Fuck this! This isn't Lord of the Rings."
I think I read it when I was actually able to read it all the way through when I was in my mid-20s.
Yeah, that's when I read it. I loved it. I loved it because I knew what I was expecting. I knew that it was not going to be anything like what I had read before. And I cheated. I had also just gotten done reading a commentary on all the Lord of the Rings, including the Silmarillion. So I kind of read a summary of it and what it was meaning and what was going on before I actually picked it up.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, I was so lost. I had to keep taking a break and thinking of, wait, what does this mean again? Where was this at again? Okay, who was this? What did they do?
Yeah.
I got so confused. And then of course they have Galadriel and Celeborn in it. So it's like, wait, they're really old. Hold on. What's going on here?
Okay, I'm gonna. This is it's good to do this before we get too deeply into the next part. As and Stig is telling me to drool. Yes, I will
no.
drool. Ho ho ho! Look at that. Yes,
Ooh,
yes,
that's
precious.
pretty.
There's some more drool for you.
Is it?
That's a
Marvel?
really good map.
I think the people who made this map also did a Westeros map I have on my wall.
Oh.
So it's probably some company that does it. I want to get a Middle Earth one too, to be honest.
How big is this one?
I don't know.
Okay.
Poster sized, I guess. Maybe bigger.
Yeah, not bad at all. Okay, and let me see this. And he is one more. Oh, okay. Oh, shoot. Holy. Okay, let me share it before so y'all can see what I'm seeing. Here we go. Look at that.
Ooh.
Hot damn.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm in love. Is it possible to fall in love with a map? I don't know, but I think I
Oh,
am.
just wait until you see the last one I found.
Uh-oh.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Sort of Poopa says the Silmarillion is full of elvish names of places and people. You really need to have a map to keep things straight.
Dude, for real. Because you have to go through and like, wait, where is this on here? And kind of go up and
Hmm.
down. Because, you want to keep up and you want to understand what they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my. Oh, okay. I shouldn't exclaim before I share. I shouldn't exclaim before I share because that is not polite. Here we go. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
The
I want
Shire.
this one.
That's really pretty.
Okay. As you always say, your birthday is. Oh, look at that. Yes. Precious.
To Far Downs.
And that's just the Shire, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Badass.
Yeah, and
Oh,
you
it's
can
beautiful.
probably track where Frodo and Sam and Pippin travel in the first chapters of the book.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree. Snortopoopas Cooper maps are sexy. Um, everyone's talking and sharing things with each other. Snortopoopa says the Silmarillion is full of elvish names of places and people. You really need to have, a map to keep it straight. We,
They just released an illustrated Silmarillion
oh,
hardcover. I think it's the one you bought, actually, Teresa.
yeah,
I
the
think I
one that,
heard about that.
yeah, it was. Did I actually buy that? It was no, that wasn't part of the series I bought.
Oh, okay.
I didn't.
Yeah, they did one right before Christmas.
Okay, yeah, no, I have not bought that. It's just on my wish list. I should probably go ahead and do that. Oh, and Jacob Iron says there are Minas Tirith bookends.
Oh, yeah.
Also, oh my gosh, Tyron's Beard says sometimes you don't love a map, but you lust for one when you are lost in the bush. Oh,
That's
okay.
deep.
Well,
Uh,
the bush is like slang for like in the deep woods or like in the wilderness in Australia. So
yeah. Ancient One says the Shire. It has all your weed needs.
hey.
Okay, have y'all seen the Lord of Maps? He makes real maps that look like Lord of the Rings maps. Oh, interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Never
Oh,
seen it.
hello. Yeah. Let's see. Was it Lord of Maps? All right, maybe I'll look that up. JT Gunter, thank you for being here. And I think also we had someone. Hi, Mister. I'm sorry. Sorry. Loads of drool. Yes, we have lots of drool here at Miss Martin Muses. And hello, Sandra. Hello, Sandra Feliciano. Always great to see
Sandra.
you.
Hi.
Yay. Yeah. Sweet. Well, no, I mean this was apropos because we are on the topic and we haven't yet started. So everyone, let's all get our love of maps. When I was an undergrad for my course of studies, getting my license, I had to take a cartography class, and holy crap, was that hard?
It was
I had.
probably off the charts.
I knew you were going to do that.
It was well. I understand that it was hardcore, and we were not allowed to use computers. We had to free draw the
What made
maps.
you go in that direction?
Oh,
It
no.
borders on insanity.
Yes.
Did you
Gosh
have to
darn it.
create like a little legend and a grid and all that stuff? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you encompass it all?
Oh my gosh. Well, and I had to use a different projection for it. He was an older dude, and at the time it was a big nightmare, but I'm really glad that I was with someone so traditional because I don't think they teach
Because
it like that anymore.
otherwise it would have gone south.
Ah.
well, you remember in the old days, right? Like at least whenever I was a kid and we go on a road trip with the parents, it's like that's all they had to guide them. My dad had like a huge map that he would keep in the car and he's like, "All right, looks like we're right about here, and then we need to go this much further and end up here. We don't have to
Mm,
worry about that anymore.
yeah.
You should though, because if the GPS goes out,
Yeah, you're
a lot of
screwed.
people, a lot of people will be really screwed.
Yeah. Without being kissed, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, again, as I was saying, I was really glad I did that though because I think it's a lost art, and
Yeah.
as we said, we still need to learn how to do things traditionally, uh, for that very reason, like you said, but also by being forced to create it yourself using different projections. The very process uh, makes you understand it. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
maps
Yeah.
aren't just maps. If you're drawing a fantasy map,
Hmm.
there's rules. Rivers don't spring up from anywhere, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And water will always take the lowest point of exit.
Good
Stuff
point.
like that. And if you have mountains near the coast, there will also be islands.
Yeah,
And
precisely.
usually, deserts are usually near the equator or behind a mountain range, which has a rainforest on the other side, right? So rain
Hmm.
falls down on one side.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
yeah, it matters,
Yeah.
and it
And
it it
and they
enhances the
don't
story.
and they don't build cities willy-nilly. They usually do it where it's easy to access ships or rivers for trade,
Uh huh.
stuff like that.
Yeah, they have to be at tributary. Yeah, What the fudge? You know what I'm saying? The big long word that starts with a T. And I've done a lot of on-site research in the cities in Ireland, especially in Cork, and also some in Iceland, where the reasons why the Vikings ended up settling where they did, especially in areas where they raided, and a lot of it has to do with exactly what you said.
Oh,
Um,
and fertile lands.
yep. Thank you. But you see, I know what the word is, snortopupus. I just don't know if I can say it. Tributary. Oh, I did. Tributary. Tributary. I'm a visual learner. I do better when I read things. But yeah, but you're absolutely right. And that's why Tolkien does it so well. And that's why world building is so important. I do want us to go ahead and move on to the passing of the Grey Company, where they almost take us not in a flashback, but like we saw everything that happened from Gandalf and Pippin's point of view, and then Tolkien puts us right back to the right after Gandalf left. I mean, it starts with Gandalf was gone, so we know. Oh, okay, so now we're back to there. What happened with Mary? And he goes off to Aragorn, and he's like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" And he's like, "Well, um, the king, Theoden, he's anxious to get moving, and Aragorn goes, "For myself, it is dark before me. I must go down also to Minas Tirith, but I do not yet see the road." An hour long prepared reproaches. And Mary goes, "Don't leave me behind. I have not been of much use yet, but I don't want to be laid aside like baggage to be called for when all is over." I want to read that again because we're going to see
Oh.
something in a few more pages. He goes, "I have not been of much use yet, but I don't want to be laid aside like baggage to be called for when all is over." Of course, that is sounding very much like herself. She feels the exact same way. So, herself being Eowyn.
Eowyn.
Yeah, yeah, I don't, she says, oh, she was saying almost the same thing. That,
Yeah, she doesn't want to be left aside while everybody else is fighting for the people they love.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And the, well, and the fact that they almost don't even think about them. It's like, oh, they can't do anything, or they, just go, lay aside, let us do it. And it's like, no, I want to be useful. I want to defend what I love. Um, see, Thornapoopa says, "A great company, those incredible, noble, grim rangers of the North." Sigh. Mm-hmm. Yes, and we're gonna see a little bit of these guys. It's crazy, but I like. Well, they're basically setting it up so that you know what's going to be going on with Mary and Pippin. Um, but in any case, Theoden It's so awesome. I mean, they're like at Amber, they're like, halt, halt, who rides in Rohan? And we seek that land in haste from long afar. And Aomer goes, you have found it when you cross the fords yonder, but it is the realm of Theoden the king. None ride here save by his leave. Who are you? And he goes, Halbarad Dunadan, ranger of the north I am. We seek one Aragorn of Arathorn. And then Aragorn's like, you have found him also. Halbrand, of all the joys, this is least expected. So they're all having some sort of little reunions. I think they're all getting together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Aragorn says to Halbarad, what is it that you bear, kinsman? For he saw that instead of a spear, he bore a tall staff, as it were a standard. I'm so excited because we know what this is, but it was
Yes.
close furled and a black cloth bound about with many thongs. It is a gift I bring you from the Lady of Rivendell, answered Halbrand. She wrought it in secret, and long was the making. But here she also sends words to you. The days now are short. Either our hope cometh, or all hopes end. Therefore I send thee what I have made for thee. Farewell, Elstone. And they don't tell us what it is, but we know what it is. It is the fact that Arwen has been secretly making for him and delivers to him at this moment his sigil or standard for him as the king. I think that's really badass.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That's why I got excited. I don't know why
I forgot about that. I'm like, that's right.
Yes.
Sorry, it took me a second to catch up.
Okay, because I was so excited. I thought
I'm
you were
just
as
like,
excited as
woohoo!
I was. I
Well-
love it. I think that is a great detail. And about when,
Absolutely.
yeah, and when it arrives as well.
I just think it's really cool that he's the one that tells Aragorn, or that reminds Aragorn, he has to take the path of the dead, or the paths of the dead, and
Yeah.
seek out the betrayers in the mountains. Because they gave that role, I think, to Elrond in the movie, and
Yeah,
it just didn't quite hit right.
Now, it wouldn't have been something. Well, actually, that whole part with Elrond was just.
Yeah.
They pulled right out of their buttocks, and it was just really, really weird.
So it was better for him to hear it from one of his kinsmen, because he's one of the Dunedain Rangers as well. So it's nice to hear from them versus the father of his future bride.
Yeah. Yeah. But also, Arwen's dying. It's like, what? I just all of us never get over that.
Yeah.
Everyone just goes, what? Huh?
Yeah. How does that even make sense?
Yeah. And where did this even come from?
And the ring has been around forever, but all of a sudden she's dying. Okay.
Yeah. Well, why not? But no, I mean, first of all, the symbolism of it, that Arwen being, his wife, future wife, that she would be the one to create it. I mean, that was the thing. It has always been a thing that the women, especially in these medieval times, they would be the ones that they would make the flags. That we would see that, like in the Civil War, they would make their company flags for them, or they would make their standards, and the whole almost chivalry, like they will fight for their lady. Like when the dudes would go off and do their little jousting things, and they'd put the whatever they put around their wrists from their lady. And
that's right.
Yeah, and the fact that she has faith in him, she has hope, and she says, I've been making this in secret. And it's almost as though she's saying, now is the time. You are the king. Take this up upon you. And Snorri Pupus Kruber says, Arwen hasn't been moping around dying. She's been making the standard for Aragorn and pondering on the meanings of old prophecies. Precisely. And again, they don't even necessarily have to show us it or put it over our heads. I'm sorry, I just read what Tyron said, but yeah, but I think it's beautiful, and it's also talking about the feminine genius. probably nowadays they would think that's very sexist. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
she just sat around embroidering and sewing his little standard
Yeah,
and
but
all
that
that.
was a
It's like,
lot of work and detail.
and not just a lot of work in detail, but the symbolism of it too.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like a flag or something. It was him ready to take it upon himself, but he's not quite ready. He even says, I'm not quite ready to open this or whatever and to use this, but I know what it is. Oh, it's just a very beautiful moment, and I just love it. And I just got so excited when I was
It's
looking
like,
at it again. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then after they have a lot of big discussion here, and then he's like, the paths of the dead. There was only one way. And then Gimli goes, the paths of the dead. It is a fell name. And little to the liking of the men of Rohan, I saw, can the living use such a road and not perish? And Aragorn says, the living have never used that road since the coming of the Rohirrim, for it is closed to them. But in the dark hour, the heir of Isildur may use it if he dare. So there we go. How convenient. Yeah. They have the heir of Isildur. And Stieg, you would be very, very happy to see that Aragorn decides to recite some poetry.
Your favorite parts, Stieg.
Yeah. But he didn't. But to be fair to Stieg, they're not being chased. They're not in the middle of nowhere where there's the spiders or something awful will hear them, or the dark riders. They are hanging out in Rohan and death is not upon them. So why not recite some poetry? And he didn't sing, though. He didn't sing. He just recites it. And I'm not going to recite it because, why not? Well, before we go on to one of my next favorite parts, what's up with these way of the dead, path of the dead, the dead people and all that stuff? I didn't know if either of you wanted to jump in and talk about these guys.
I love these guys. Go ahead, Stieg.
I like them, but they are a little bit of a case of Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, true.
Because they're never mentioned until the final book, and then they show up and save the day. It's a little bit like that.
Yeah, that's right. It's like we can't do it.
If they had mentioned it back in book 1 or whatever, they would have set it up. This is just, bam, they're there. Use them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think they tried to kind of make up for it. I think, well, no, maybe it was in Return of the King. I was going to say in the movie, I thought in the Two Towers, Gandalf told Aragorn, no, you must take a different path. But I think that was at the beginning of the Return of the King. So never mind.
Yeah, I think, well, basically, it's like, yeah, you're about to be screwed over. Here's an invincible army.
Yeah. We've got something to pull out of our pocket at the last minute. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a classic case of Deus Ex Machina, isn't it?
True. I did think it was a cool concept, though, because Isildur cursed these men, and they were like bound to a living death until Isildur's heir released them from that. So they were cursed for how many years? It was a long time. What was it, like at least 500, 1,000 years? And that they had to dwell under the mountain until Aragorn, they decided to fulfill their oath, fight for Aragorn, and Aragorn released them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a cool concept, but the fact that they waited till the end to bring it out. But maybe Tolkien did that on purpose. So, you felt like there was no hope. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we've got a trump card. I don't know. Maybe that was the reasoning behind it. Or maybe it was just something that he didn't think of until later. But it's a cool concept. I definitely get where you're going with it, Stieg.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody Google, or at least I'm looking through his letters now. I don't know if he says why he did or did not. That did not come up with me in many of my notes. What were they called? The dead people? I mean, the army of the dead, the people of the dead.
Men of the mountains.
Yeah, okay. It's not coming up in my index. So if anyone knows if Tolkien talked about it, please let me know. And if not, that's okay. I'll pretend I knew and make a video about it in one day.
Dunharrow. Maybe look up Dunharrow?
Perhaps, yes. Okay, the sort of puts the army of the dead, which Aragorn uses once in the book. He never takes them to Minas Tirith. Yeah, Shane says it was for almost 3,000 years.
Oh, Dang, that's a long time. That's right. You forget it's that long between Isildur until Aragorn. So Gondor had no king for thousands of years.
Yeah, it really sucked to be them, didn't it? Yeah. But I can see why it's a Deus Ex Machina because well, it's definitely in the movies used as a Deus Ex Machina. But Tolkien is such a damn good writer. You don't notice it's a Deus Ex Machina. It's almost like you're like, oh, so tell us about this. He does a very good job tricking us into it. And after all this, they ride to Edoras, where the Lady Eowyn greeted them and was glad of their coming. For no mightier men had she seen than the Dunedain and the fair sons of Elrond, but on Aragon most of all her eyes rested. I like the way it falls out in the book, the way Eowyn kind of has a thing for Aragorn versus the movie because they had Aragorn and Eowyn have more interactions in the movie.
Yes.
But in this is only the second time she's actually seen him, and they haven't even barely talked. So later, when Faramir the Great says, you were in love with the idea of Aragorn, I think it makes a lot more sense in the book that, he was the first dude that really wasn't related to her. And she saw him as her escape and all that. I think that it's a lot easier to pull off the whole, she didn't even know him. It was just more the idea of him that she was quote unquote in love with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in the movie, I think they tried to make it seem like it was maybe not necessarily one-sided, even though they didn't really show Aragorn having interest, but they showed him having interest in getting to know her in the movies. So I think it was meant to maybe deflect. It's like, well, does he really love Arwen? And
yeah, like they were trying to pull out of their butt
yeah,
a triangle, which didn't really exist.
exactly.
Yeah, before we move on, I have to read every time we receive a compliment. He goes, "Man, I have learned more here about the Lord of the Rings than I have anywhere else. I feel like I need to buy some ebooks."
Buy physical copies.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can, buy the physical copies. Go to a Half Price Books, or if you have something similar where you are, where you can get the real books or buy them, whatever. That's always the best. But if ebooks are the best way or the easiest way you can read, go ahead and do that. From what I understand, they have not yet censored them. But
Well,
I do
that's
not
good to know.
as far as I know, I haven't heard anything. But we are experiencing a bit of a digital book burning, where offensive things are, and goodness knows what they see as offensive. But yes, well, thank you. I'm glad, and that's why I love doing this. If we can get people to love the books and to read the books, and as Steve says, buy the physical if you can, buy the physical if you can. Oh dear, Sort of Poop Scooper, Rennie, make him read it. Crack the whip.
Trust me, I'm working on it.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. And I do appreciate you, Sandra, saying you were driving at the time, etc. J. Gunter, thank you for just listening. Great conversation. I do appreciate this. I guess he ate. Kick 44 says ebooks for now, physical copies when you make it to Texas. Texas, the land of freedom. I swear, we're gonna
Texas. You know what? I'm gonna give Texas credit because they gave us Robert E. Howard, who gave us Conan.
True.
That is correct, and
he is grossly underrated because Conan is still going in comic form. So it has survived for almost 100 years. That's longevity for you. It was built to last.
Yep. Yeah. And his museum is something that is on my list to go visit. You can visit his home and his museum by special appointment. It's
really?
Yes. We'll talk later. field trip. It's about a 5-hour drive, I think. I don't know. It depends on where you live because Texas is so freaking big.
Oh my gosh, yes. I think I told you guys about a road trip that I did, like, gosh, I want to say it's like 10, 15 years ago, going from the east side of Texas, almost 20 hours, and you're still in Texas. I'm like, oh my God.
Exactly. As
Yeah.
bigger, it's like as big as France or from one side to the other. Jacob
Yeah.
Ironside says, "I got my Lord of the Rings trilogy books in the mail yesterday." Yes, well done, well done.
Yay.
Yeah, Tyron says we used to have this thing called a library, but yeah, we're have to get in there. Can't get in there without a few jabs. Well done, everybody. Okay, so Eowyn, who I love, Eowyn. She's one of my favorite characters. Maybe because she's a woman. I mean, there's nothing, and then I will put my foot down. There is nothing wrong with liking characters that are quote unquote like you. Like in DC, Wonder Woman's my favorite. Okay,
Yeah.
I always liked Wonder Woman's little girl, and I liked
Same
Eowyn.
here.
Yeah, I think the difference is when you insist that you change the dude characters for Eowyn. Like imagine if they had done all this stuff for
Or make
Eowyn.
Eowyn less feminine and more masculine. Like,
Exactly. Or made her cuck Aragorn and all that, and made them look like fools, and she just randomly single-handedly destroys the entire forces of Sauron. That would be pretty ridiculous. But poor Eowyn. Poor Eowyn. She's like he's like, "Oh, well, we're just going to stay here for a little bit. We have to move on." And she's like, "Oh, wow, how nice of you that you rode so many miles out of your way to bring tidings to Eowyn and to speak with her in her exile." And then Aragorn says, "Well, indeed, no man would count such a journey wasted." He's being polite. "And yet, lady, I could not have come hither if it were not for the road I must take." So he's basically saying, "Oh, well, actually, I was going to come here anyways, because I must take leads me to Dunharrow." And then she goes, "But Lord, you are astray, for out of Herondale no road runs uh, east or south, and you had best return as you came." And he says, "Nay, lady," I love it when they say nay, "I am not astray, for tomorrow I shall ride by the paths of the dead." Dun, dun, dun. I love the way it's kind of melodramatic and they're stating everything. And then she's like, "What the what's wrong with you?" She's like, "You can't do that. Oh my gosh." She stared at him as one that is stricken and her face blanched. "But Aragorn, you dumbass, is it?" Oh, she says, "Is it then your errand to seek death?" She didn't say dumbass. "For that is all that you will find on this road. They do not suffer the living to pass." And they're kind of beating us over the head with it a little bit, but it's okay because it's some exposition that we need. And then Aragorn says, "They may suffer me to pass."
So there.
Yeah, but this is madness. "For here are men of renown and prowess, whom you should not take into the shadows, but should lead to war where men are needed." She's actually being practical here. Where
Yeah.
men are needed. "I beg you to remain and ride with my brother, for then all our hearts will be gladdened, and our hope will be brighter." And he goes, "It is not madness, lady, for I go on a path appointed." Then they said no more, and they ate in silence. So they're all sulking now, or at least she is.
Right? It's like, eh.
Like, fine, fine. And then she comes out to him right before later on where he's gonna sleep with Legolas and Gimli. He's like, "Aragorn, why are you doing this, man?" He goes, "Because I must. Only so I can see any hope of blah, blah, blah. I do not choose paths of peril, Eowyn. Were I to go where my heart dwells, far in the north, I would now be wandering in the fair valley of Rivendell." He's telling us here also, hey, I've got a check.
That's right.
And maybe he's letting her know, but she didn't figure it out. For a while, she was silent as if pondering what this might mean. And suddenly she laid her hand on his arm. She said, Lord, if you must go, then let me ride in your following, for I am weary of skulking in the hills and wish to face peril and battle. He said, your duty is with your people. And she goes, too often have I heard of duty, but I am not of the house of Errol, a sheed maiden, and not a dry nurse. I am waited on faltering feet long enough. Since they falter no longer, it seems, may I not now spend my life as I will? And he says, few may do that with honor. That as for you, lady, did you not accept the charge to govern the people until their lord's return? If you had been chosen, then some marshal or captain would have been set in the same place, and he could not ride away from his charge were he weary of it or no. And this is a very good point. She's saying, they just think I'm like a nursemaid. They're making me be behind and do all that. And Aragorn is telling her, girl, it would be the same charge given to a dude. You can't leave your post.
Yeah.
And she is essentially, we know, going to leave her post. Now, it did fulfill a prophecy, but a lot of people debated that she almost commits treason.
Yeah, but at the same time, she killed one of the most powerful beings or evil creatures on the freaking planet.
Yeah.
Well, not yet.
Well, I know that.
Yeah, and you were going to say
she was a strong woman before it was cool to be a strong woman.
Yeah. Well, if she wants to be a soldier, she needs to follow orders.
Yeah, you're right.
I have to agree with you. As much as I like Eowyn, Stig's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The real Captain Jack said she not commit treason. Actually, yes, you're right. Treason's probably the wrong word. It would be dereliction of duty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Because technically, whether she were a man or a woman, if you're told by your commander, you're going to stay here and guard this, you stay and you guard that.
Yep.
There's no question about it. And he points out it's not a thing about you being a chick or an old lady or something. Or as Shane says, a dry nurse is a nurse for an elderly person rather than an infant. Yeah, makes perfect sense. And that's kind of what she had been for a very long time. The way that she was for Theoden.
Yeah, because Theoden was just rotting away thanks to Grima.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Yeah. Seditious, maybe. Yeah. Dereliction duty can be considered treason for a soldier in wartime. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could be shot.
And this is wartime. Yeah, they're not going to shoot her because they don't have guns.
Yeah.
But they would probably hang her or something.
Yeah. And as you said, Steve, because it's in a time of war.
Yeah.
So I still have trouble coming to terms with this because I really think she was only forgiven because she did kill the Witch King and they realized it had to only be a chick. So it was like meant to be.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always make it okay.
And it was foreshadowed in the Silmarillion. Because that prophecy about the Witch King is made by Glorfindel.
True.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read that. Like I said, that was the hardest book I've ever read in my life.
Also, Glorfindel is foreshadowing Gandalf returning.
Oh yeah, I did catch that.
Yeah,
that
so
was cool.
He's kind of, people say he's like, he's not important, but he kind of a little bit is.
No, definitely.
In the grand scheme of things, anyway.
Like he kind of sits on the sidelines, but yes, he is in the same time important because he's like kind of interweaved with all of the more important people.
Yeah.
Yeah, because doesn't he interact with Elrond and Galadriel or no?
And he saves Frodo.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because he's the one that rides out to him instead of Arwen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. All true. It's something to we can definitely talk
Mary
about.
stabbed the Witch King with the short sword thing he got from Tom Bombadil, I believe.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Jacob.
Oh,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. Now my brain's exploding a little bit. Well, just how deep it all is. Well, and also we're dealing with some of our
Oh,
Russian friends.
my good
Oh,
friend,
yeah.
real Captain Jack, is in the chat. Good to see you, Mister.
Oh, well, there you are.
Oh, that's
Yep.
sweet.
I've known him since I first popped on YouTube.
Ah, well, cool.
Nice.
Very nice. Well, to continue with Awen.
Also, Captain Jack was there during when I told the infamous poop ball story.
Oh
Oh,
no.
no.
On Don Talks, yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, in any case, this talks a little bit about Awen's state of mind here. She goes, "Shall I always be chosen?" She said bitterly. "Shall I always be left behind when the riders depart to mind the house while they win renown to find food and beds when they return?" And the fact that she's saying bitterly, "Shall I always be chosen?" I
Yeah.
can understand why she feels that way because her entire life, they're always like, you know that this happened. Oh, look at you. You're so nice. You're looking
Yeah.
after Theoden. You're keeping the hearth warm for all of us. And as one by one, she's being abandoned and left in a place that's not safe for her.
Yeah.
And
I feel like she's a woman that doesn't like being left with what used to be considered womanly duties back in the day. It's like, well, I don't want to just be someone's handmaiden, or I don't want to just watch the house, or, do the laundry, or, take care of this person or that person. I want to do more.
yeah,
She's never wanted to fit into that mold.
to a certain degree, I would say yes. And the only reason why I have a bit of a different perspective is because what happens in The Steward and the King with Faramir.
Oh, true.
Yeah, that in her case, it is not. She realizes that that's not always a bad thing, but when you are a woman and you are finding yourself being in the care of a great castle and all that, where you're not being protected, where you've got people uh, looking after you, you're the nursemaid, you're the handmaid to people that are abandoning you, that are leaving you to despair, leaving you with this creeper worm tongue creeping on you. So she naturally hates all the tasks that everyone's always telling her to do and to stay at home, because for her, she has such horrible experiences. Um, and shall I always be chosen? And she goes, I want to go out and, well, and as she said, to win renown. Uh, Also, because those things of women are also usually not praised.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, she learns later with Faramir, as he, as it says, she understands her heart that it doesn't always suck to be a lady of the manor. It just sucks if you are with someone who sucks, and she decides that, she's going to be a healer, that she doesn't want to go out and be a person. But I think that also has to do with because she actually sees what war is truly like.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and she just saw Theoden get killed and she couldn't help him.
Precisely. Yeah, that it's not all that it's cracked up to be. But if she is uh didn't know any better, the grass is always green. I think that she also suffered from that. Yeah. Sonora Pupa says, but she wasn't just watching the house, she was governing the kingdom, but she was so lost in her dark mood she couldn't see it. The whisperings of Wormtongue were still affecting her. Good point.
Yes.
Good point. Yes.
Yeah, I
And
like it.
yeah, and OBG 70 said she's made a negative association. So maybe in that sense, she's not too unlike Denethor, for example.
Yeah.
And when you are left alone, the way she was, with no one to protect her, because, women were only as protected as the men who were willing to do so. So yeah, sucked to be her. I could see how she is in a state of despair. And I think that that's exactly what she has right here. And she seems, it says bitterly, she's very bitter. And Aragorn says, a time may come soon when none will return, and there will be need of valor without renown, for none shall remember the deeds that are done in the last defense of your homes. Yet the deeds will not be less valiant because they are unpraised.
That's
But she,
a good um, line
Yeah.
because especially in these days where people can't seem to do anything nice to people without also broadcasting it.
Oh, but then, we're also in the age of what? The participation trophy as well. You get a trophy and you get a trophy. What
Yeah,
you did today was stunning and brave.
and addiction to likes and
Yeah.
you
sub
know
counts.
no,
Yep.
yeah, well that, but it's also almost a sense of narcissism
Hmm.
Absolutely,
that
dude.
every time you do something good, you broadcast it to get suck up the points.
And you need that, well deserved or quote unquote well deserved pat on the back for it.
Yeah. The idea of sacrifice is not
Yeah. Which
now.
means they're not necessarily doing good things for the sake of doing good and being helpful. They're doing it for the praise that comes after.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
And that is true for both sides of the political spectrum, really,
Yeah. Well,
because you see virtue signaling on both sides. It's just from the other angle.
sometimes, but well, that's a discussion for another day. uh, yeah, I hate virtue signaling
That
too.
is one epic profile picture you have there, Mister OBG70.
Let me see. Oh my.
That there is Conan.
I was gonna say it looks like Conan.
Yeah, I hate virtue. Yeah. Yeah, Shane says, well, she might have the household knights protect her. It's more physiological than they can't protect her from words. Yes and no.
Mm.
Well, yeah, I mean, the household knights couldn't. But if you've got an old man and a creeper, I think because the Lord of the Rings, they wanted to keep it PG-13, but we all know what would happen to a woman, even if a noble woman had a creeper around who had control of everybody. Uh,
Yeah.
it,
Because
they,
they kind of hinted at it in the movies, but
yeah,
didn't fully go there. But you knew that at least Grima was lusting after her, and they just kind of slipped that in.
yeah, and I think that that was something that slipped in, which made perfect sense because that is exactly what it would have been. And I think if this novel had been written nowadays, maybe he would have explicitly gone there. But that is what would happen to a woman uh, who was, and the guards. What they can they protect her from?
Exactly.
Um, but what Aragorn says is also good, and she's not hearing it though because she's a little bit stuck in her negative associations and thoughts. All your words are but to say, you are a woman and your part is in the house. Yeah, she's not hearing him necessarily. But on the other hand, she probably heard that her whole life. So she's got a chip on her shoulder. But when the men have died in battle and honor, you have leave to be burned in the house. You see, that's the other thing. Yeah, you have leave to be burned in the house. For the men will not need it no more. But I am of the house of Earl and not a serving woman. I can ride and wield blade, and I do not fear either pain or death. What do you fear, lady? He asked. A cage, to stay behind bars until youth and old age accept them, and all chance of doing great deeds is gone beyond recall or desire. And I think that this says it right here. She's felt like she's been in a cage, and she has been in her whole life. And that's why no matter how reasonable Aragorn is being with her, she's not hearing it. She's not able to hear it
Yeah, because she's just
because
got that one track mind. It's like, no, no.
Yes, you don't get it. You're a man. You don't know what it's like to be in a cage. And when she says things like, but women have leave to be burned behind in those homes, unspoken here, she's probably seen that happen. And many women before her, that, yeah, they're the ones that they're back to mind the house and they can't necessarily fight. And they're the ones that get raped and pillaged. But yeah, she's seeing a cage. This is her own personal despair, and she is in despair. I think at this point,
Yeah.
and that's why she just can't hear it.
She feels like left behind, and she wants to be with her kin and the people she cares about instead of being stuck with the castle or with the house.
Yeah, and that she's unable to see the nobility of the charge she's been given because of that, and that she's felt helpless, and maybe will feel a lot of feelings going on better if she's out there fighting rather than all that. Oh, good point, Snortopupus. Yes, they do go into some of this detail in the House of Healing. I do recall that, yes. And then Aragorn says to her, and yet you counseled me not to adventure on the road that I have chosen because it is perilous. So he's kind of like, yeah, now you're saying this, but now you're telling me not to do it? And she goes, so may one counsel another, she said, yet I do not bid you flee from peril, but to ride to battle where your sword may win renown and victory. I would not see a thing that is high and excellent cast away needlessly.
Well, she kind of owns him a bit there.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Steve?
Or she makes a fair point. She turns his argument back on him, really.
Okay. True. But then he says to her, nor would I. And she says, I would not see a thing that is high and excellent cast away needlessly. He says, nor would I. Therefore, I say to you, lady, stay, for you have no errand in the south. And then she said, neither have those who go with thee. They go only because they would not be parted from thee, because they love thee. Then she turned and vanished into the night. Yeah. He's right, but wrong. He says, therefore I say to you, lady, stay, for you have no errand in the south. In hindsight, we do learn in hindsight she actually did because of the prophecy.
Yeah.
But he's also right because he's a man who has seen battle. It's like, girl, you're going to die.
Yeah. Well, most women weren't trained in battle. I mean, it's just not how things went.
Well, and even people that are trained in battle, is as they say, war is hell.
Yeah.
And that she keeps focusing on, you're going to get renown, you're going to fight, and people will sing songs about you, and I'm just going to sit here and be an old maid. It's like, no, she's dreaming of this thing. I think that
of like the glory of battle or something.
Exactly, and doesn't understand. OBG70 says, but would you say that she has a good grasp on what it's like or what it would be like if she was out there doing what she dreams of? Seems like you said, grass is always greener. Yep. Kelvington said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and she was trained, but she wasn't necessarily a soldier. But I see what everyone is saying is that, and after she has seen battle, it doesn't take much convincing to go, yeah, I'm just going to settle into this.
They were going to have her kill a bunch of orcs in the Battle of Helm's Deep in the caves. Some orcs got inside the caves, which I think would have been good if they kept that, because it would have shown that she can actually fight.
I disagree with you. I think that would have been silly.
Yeah, it would have taken away from the story, but I do like what you're saying about, showing that she has some skill in a battle. I just think it would have taken away from the Helm's Deep battle.
Otherwise, it's kind of her first fight, she kills a level 1000 enemy.
But she rolled a 20, Steeg.
Yeah.
Yeah, she played the whammon card for extra attack bonus.
Oh dear. They didn't have the whammon card back in Tolkien's day, though.
Yeah. Uh, Shane Nolan says they filmed it. Yes, and I saw stills of it. It was even in some of the books I got. I remember I got a little storybook about behind the scenes of the Two Towers, and it showed it. But thank goodness. What do you think though about what it says here, where she's like, they go only because they would not be parted from thee, because they love thee. Is she making a declaration of love to him, or what's going on with that?
I think so. They played it off in the movie a little bit differently, but I think so because she turned away and vanished.
Yeah.
So I think that was an admission.
Yeah. But it was also, did she really love him? Because that's part of what.
I mean, I think at the moment she thought she did, but when Faramir was like, "Dude, come on, you didn't even know him.
Yeah.
Did you really love him?"
Yeah, she thought she loved him, or definitely was in love with the idea of him. But she's
Yeah.
also talking about the other people. They go with thee because they love thee, and maybe that also goes along with a little bit what Faramir says about the love that a footman has for his leader.
Yeah.
Yeah. Legends of the Brave Bard by C.T. Jane says shield maidens are trained as defenders, not as assault force. In the MMOLOTRO, they discuss it a little further. She is young, isn't she? She's not very young. Her age is actually about 24. She's kind of, if you will, old back then. And back then, see, this is the other thing. Women were to have been married off long before then, and it was almost a negligence on the part of her defenders that her guardian Theoden, that he did not find a proper husband for her and a home in. That often women were considered old maids, quote unquote, by the time they got to the age of 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's old.
But I mean,
older.
She's young compared to Aragorn, though. But yeah.
Well, yeah, but for real, a woman was almost considered dried up by that point. It's
Which
terrible,
is weird, right?
but it's true.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It was a thing. It really was. Because women, they were considered marriageable when they got their first period, which is kind of creepy. But in general, yeah.
Well, usually it is a period piece.
Oh dear.
Yes. Shane Nolan says an old maid. Yes, my grandmother 22, and she said she was an old maid. Yes. Oh, and I can tell you, even nowadays, you'd be amazed at some of the comments you get. Like if you turn 30 and you're not a woman, you're not married, and it's you're like, what? It's like, oh well, I'm just gonna, it's ridiculous. But it was a thing. It was a thing for sure. So when you add that to Eowyn, she wasn't exactly pulling it out of her buttocks that she was old and dried up. Yeah, she was 24. Yeah, because I recall looking it up at one time. So poor Eowyn. So after she turned and vanished into the night, because we love symbolism and drama. When the light of day was come into the sky, but was not yet risen above the high ridges in the east, Aragorn made ready to depart. His company was all mounted, and he was about to leap into the saddle when the Lady Eowyn came to bid them farewell. I love this. She was clad as a rider and girt with a sword. In her hand she bore a cup, and she set it to her lips and drank a little, wishing them good speed. Then she gave the cup to Aragorn, and he drank, and he said, "Farewell, Lady of Rohan. I drink to the fortunes of your house and of you, and of all your people. Say to your brother, beyond the shadows, we may weep again." Yeah, so it's almost like a little ceremony they're having here. She's just not sharing cups with them. It was symbolic, and she tries to get him to not leave at this point. He says, "I gotta go, lady." and she falls on her knees. So this is kind of pathetic.
Yeah.
She falls on her knees, saying, "I beg thee." And this is before everyone. And he goes, "Nay, lady," he said, and taking her by the hand, he raised her. Then he kissed her hand and sprang into the saddle and rode away and did not look back. And only those who knew him well and were near to him saw the pain that he bore. Because, yeah, I mean, it's hard to see that. But Eowyn stood still as a figure carved in stone, her hands clenched at her side as she watched until they passed under the shadows under the black blah 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 long big word, and in which was the door of the dead. When they were lost from view, she turned, stumbling as one that is blind, and went back to her lodging. So this girl, I think this is talking about the despair I was talking about earlier. This girl, she's desperate. She makes a fool of herself in front of everybody and then stumbles as though one that is blind. It's she's not in a good place. She's not in a good place at all, I don't think. Okay, so before we talk a little bit about the Army of the Dead stuff, is there anything else anyone wants to say about Rohan and Eowyn at this point? I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, she's a superb character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She just allowed her emotions and her despair to get the best of her during certain moments. But her heart was in the right place, even though, yeah, she felt trapped and, unable to do anything or unable to help in any way that she sees fit.
Yeah. Exactly. And she comes by it honestly, her darkness and her despair. And almost everyone's in despair at this point, except for maybe Aragorn. We have Denethor, who we know is going to totally lose his crap.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah.
But he's like far gone for like years. Like Sauron and the Palantir just poisoned his mind for years and years.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so, just to skip a little bit ahead to move on to finish this chapter, Gimli says of Aragorn, speaking of which, does he feel no fear? It's like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? And it's like, yeah. And I think that Aragorn, in a way different from Eowyn, doesn't fear for his life, but not because of any despair that he has, but I think that he is really starting to feel the call of who he is and what he is. And frankly, if this doesn't succeed, he'll just have to die trying. But then it's pretty cool as they're moseying along in this area. It gets the dead start to follow them. Legolas says, "I see shapes and men of horses, pale banners like that of clouds, and spear like winter thickets on a misty night." Then Captain Obvious says, "The dead are following." And then Eladon says, "Yes, the dead ride behind," in case you haven't been noticed. "They have been summoned." So yay, they get the dead. We get the dead.
Now they play this up in a comical note in the movie, but I feel like in the book it's not really so funny. It seems more creepy, but in the movie it's more funny because Gimli's like sitting there blowing away like what looks like the spirit clouds or whatever. He's like, and then like stepping on the skulls and getting really creeped out and stuff. But here it feels more creepy.
Well, it looks like the haunted mansion house from Disney World.
Yes, where everything's like green. Yeah,
it's kind of ridiculous.
You know what's bad in the movie though, when all the skulls starts pouring out of the wall? It looks like a kettle of popcorn boiling over.
Yeah, I totally get that because I'm like, is it just me or does this kind of look like food?
So they died in there and all the heads were put up there in the wall?
Yeah. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
One of
absurd.
the actors, I think it was John Rhys Davis, he stole a couple of those skulls.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah. Legends of the Bard says, I read this at night alone at 13-year-old. Yeah, it's kind of creepy. Yeah. This was the part that they just did very poorly in the movie. I think it's kind of cool in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Aragorn decides he dismounts and he stands by the stone and cries in a great voice, Oathbreakers. It's like, well, I love you too. Okay. Well, like, screw you. Oathbreakers, why have ye come? And a voice was heard out of the night, to fulfill our oath and to have peace. And Aragorn says, the hour has come at last. And he talks forever. And then he goes, for I am Elisar, Isildur's heir of Gondor. Dun, dun, dun. Then there was silence, and not a whisper nor a sigh was heard again in the long night. And when the dawn came cold and pale, Aragorn rose at once and led the company forth upon the journey of greatest haste. No other mortal men could have endured it, none but the Dunedain of the north, and with them Gimli the dwarf and Legolas of the elves. And they keep going, and they passed into the darkness, were lost to mortal sight, but the dead followed them. Yay!
Yay.
And that's where this chapter ends. Holy crap. Yeah, we're not going to go on chapter 3. There's some deep stuff here. And there's some more coming. So, these dudes of the dead, these Oathbreakers, I guess they're following, but they... what is it? Legends of the Bard says, oh, Tolkien is flexing his suspense muscles. Imagine if he'd written something darker.
True.
Yeah, Tolkien horror book would have been awesome.
This is my least favorite bit, I think, in the whole series, The Army of the Dead. Like I said, it is Deus Ex Machina-ish, and I never liked that.
Yeah.
While I still consider the book to be a 10 out of 10, if I don't like this in other authors, I shouldn't like it in Tolkien either, because that would be hypocritical. You know?
Yeah, that's fair.
It also comes across to me a little bit as quest-like. Like, your next quest is you must go through this dark area. You hear a
That's a good
noise.
point.
What do you do? And everyone rolls their dice. I decide to go Oathbreakers. What are you doing here?
You know what? That's probably where the people who wrote D&D came up with it. Because, Tolkien predates D&D and whatever. So they probably... Well, actually, the early stuff actually rips off Tolkien quite a bit, because the halflings used to be called hobbits in D&D, but they were told to cease and desist and call them something else.
Oh, by the estate. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense because almost everything to do with fantasy was inspired.
Yeah, because the halflings in D&D used to have furry feet and stuff like the hobbits, and they were called hobbits too. But they had to change the name and remove the furry feet.
That doesn't surprise me.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, I can understand this. I would be a liar if I said I had a problem with it when I read it the first time. I was just like, oh, okay, they're going to do this and go through there. I was okay with it. But I also have to be fair and concede these points. It's like a little much. I mean, could they have gotten there and could they have won the battle without the Army of the Dead?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, then I guess.
Yeah, but in the book, doesn't just the Army of the Dead basically get utilized for the Corsair ships and that's it? Like in the movie, they go to Minas Tirith and all that, but I want to say they don't go that far in the book. I need to reread that part.
Yeah, and I haven't read it yet because I haven't gotten to that chapter in my reread. I want to see what Tolkien had to say about it. I think I'm going to have to go through some of my notes and stuff because I really don't believe that Tolkien ever put anything in his book he didn't need to because he revised it so many friggin' times, and there was so much correspondence between him and his publisher about these things that he felt like there had to be a reason for it. I don't know. Well, we shall see. We shall see. Okay, well, thank you for your comments here. Shane Nolan says Rennie is correct.
Oh, it's been a little bit since I've read that part, but I want to say that they weren't there that much. They were just there to help a little bit, and then they were gone. So I kind of agree with you on that, Stieg. Like they were just like there to help out real quick, and then boom, gone. They were gone as fast as they came in.
Okay, yeah, Kevin Jack says, I think Tolkien wrote himself into a corner. Very possible it happens to the best of us. Sort of Poopa says, just the battle at the against the Corsairs.
Pelennor. Oh, yeah, Peligir.
Yeah, Peligir,
Yeah.
that's different than the Pelennor Fields. And then Aragorn dismisses him. Yeah, strategically, maybe that was the only way he could get there, because he said if he had gone the other path, he might have been fecked. I don't know. I think that some of my memories are being tainted by the way they did it in the movie. So
yeah, and in the movie, they put the ghosts on the boats, and then the ghosts just float ashore across the water.
They
Like,
just
so
kind of
why?
spill off of the boats.
So why did you need the boat in the first place if you could just
Yeah.
surf across the water?
Yeah, and they were like the scrubbing bubbles.
Yeah, and then they went up the castle like that too at Minas Tirith. It's just like, woo.
Yeah. So I need to read this objectively in my reread.
Well, you know what though? It does happen a little bit in the Hobbit as well during the Hobbit when the White Council fights the Ringwraiths and the Necromancer.
Mm-hmm.
So there is undead ghost fighting going on. So the army of the dead is not implausible.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But it's just they showed up very sudden like, and then they did what they did, and then everyone won as a result. So it's a bit convenient.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Tolkien, wherever you are, we're sorry, but we're not entirely on board with you. It sounds like, I feel like I can't be, especially on reread, but it says that Tenor Poopa says, I think there are other ways Tolkien could have done it, but he wanted to show how that Aragorn could command the dead and could have been a powerful Dark Lord had he been corrupted. Good point.
I like that.
Also, yeah, and also it's evil defeating evil, in a sense, and turning the enemy's weapon against them, in a sense as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching, but
yeah. Or also maybe another way that Aragorn showed his kingliness. Because only the king, only the heir of Isildur could do this. Nobody else. And he says so about 1,000 times with exclamation points.
Yes.
I can do it, Eowyn, because I'm the heir of Isildur. Let me see something here. I'm just quickly going through the letters. Are they going to help us or not? Blah, blah, blah. Sorry. Nope. Sorry. Nothing is apparent. So thank you everyone for your comments. And Jacob says, I always forgot that there were more battles going on at the same time at the Lonely Mountain and in Mirkwood. Oh, that is true. It wasn't just one little place.
Yeah.
Lots of bacon. We always agree with bacon. No one can argue with that. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, says our polar bear, especially as long as they agree with mine. So saith the bear.
Nice.
Yeah. And Shane's talking about the other battles. Yes, one in Mirkwood, another one in Lorien, Dale, Lonely Mountain, and Palagier. Okay. All right. All right. Well, thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Jacob. Yes, thank you for being here. And yeah, we are winding down. We are winding down. We are not going to go into the next chapter. Far too much material here. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Stieg, for being always my panelist, and Rennie as well.
Thank you,
I,
Teresa.
yeah, I'm thinking really deeply right now. That's part of my problem. I'm like, I want to go and I want to do some research on this, especially before we get to the next chapter, or rather, the next time that they appear. The next chapter, I believe, does not have them. Does not have them. Well, thank you, Captain Jack. I do appreciate this. That was great. He says, Kelvin says that was a lot of fun. Shane Nolan says, thanks, everybody.
Oh.
And thank you for being here. This always is awesome. It means a lot to me that you are here every week in some of our best chapters. Yeah, because the next chapter is a lot of Rohan. We love Rohan here. Snortopoops is saying, take care, everyone. Snortopoops is saying, take care, everybody. And my panelist here, Rennie, where can we find you?
Today at 4:05 p.m. Central Standard Time on Mr. Brown Alliance. We will be talking about the movie Capricorn 1. Lord help me, because that was a really hard movie to watch. Because it's an older movie, and it's just kind of hard for me to get into 1970s stuff, but it really wasn't bad. And then when Teresa's gracious enough to have these streams and invite me to partake, I am happy to be here.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm really happy you are here. Great panel. Stieg, what's going on?
Monday, Gravemaster and I are doing the thing we should have done last Monday, but we postponed it. So, yeah, on Gravemaster's channel tomorrow. No, sorry, on Monday sometime. And what else?
You're talking about the 80s, correct? You each have an
Yes.
80s movie? Okay.
80s stream. It's not just a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Wednesday, I'm on Jade Shadow's channel for the Cringe Factory, if I'm awake. Mm-hmm. And Thursday is OG Star Wars' Coffee Chat. And sometimes I'm on this channel too, but I've lost count of all the different streams.
It's okay. Well,
so just tell me when to show up, and I'll do so if I'm awake.
Precisely. That's I was gonna say
that's a good answer.
Sleep schedule. I always bow down before it. I think it was the other stream where Stieg would sleep. Oh, it was for the Fantasy Tavern, Lady Gravemaster. We said we will never judge anyone for being asleep when it's the middle of the night in their country. So,
yeah.
Stieg is all over. Thank you, Mr. Brown's Alliance. The link here is here if you want to see Rennie. Snortopoops Kubur is on the T-shirted historian. He's going to be modding there. I've never seen that. I should probably see it. I actually am a historian. Retired, I guess. I haven't done anything really solidly historical since what was it, 2011? That's the last time I actually worked as a historian. All right. OBG says, here the chat, just spam Stieg with StreamYard links on
No.
You better lock down your inbox.
Yeah, I was gonna say your private your Twitter.
Oh, I will say what I feel about that, and I'd be blunt about it too.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
it has happened.
Yeah. Don't do anything to Stieg if you aren't willing to hear the absolute truth. How's that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah. Well, people need to be respectful. And I know that people are joking. Obviously, no one likes to be spammed, and no one's gonna spam. But if suddenly, Steve, you got spammed with a whole bunch of stuff like in 5 minutes, you'll know it's
Be
a
like,
joke.
why is my DM box blowing up, man? What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, especially if it's like all these names doing it. Snorta Poopin says, "Oh, it's primarily a channel about role playing games." Oh, okay, but it does get into history at times.
Okay.
Okay, so role playing historian. Okay, cool, excellent. Yeah, he says it's a joke. He's not gonna do it.
I
Oh,
know it's a joke.
I only harassed. Like, oh gosh, yeah, maybe that was the joke. Okay, either way, well, you can find me here at Miss Martin Muses, where I talk about what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Monday night is gonna be the double pick is gonna return with 80s comedies. So people are gonna choose 2 comedies at 7 p.m. Central. Also, the triple review is going to return with oddball comedies, but believe it or not, but total different ones, ones from the 60s and the 70s, including Blazing Saddles. So I don't know if I'm even allowed to talk about that, but that is going to be one of the movies that we will be reviewing. Also,
I have a question for Snortopoopus in the chat.
sure.
What is TTRPG? I feel I should know this, but
Something role playing.
yeah.
Yeah, help us out there, Snortopoopus, because you're a big TTRPG nerd bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, take care with the storm. Oh man, I do not want weather to be bad. Why? Weather's.
Oh
least
yeah.
what
Sandra's on the
Meanwhile, in
East
Norway,
Coast. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
yeah.
but you're used to the snow. Well, a lot of us can't handle it here because we don't know what we're doing. It's awful.
Yeah. Well, and also I've got to be flying, and it's like, please, I've already been stuck once, and it
Sure.
wasn't even weather. It was one airline stewardess got sick, and it basically shut down all flights for like 7 hours because they couldn't find a replacement. Okay, so Nerdapoopa says tabletop role playing games.
Yeah. Like I said, I feel like I felt I was missing something obvious.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know very well what tabletop role playing game is. I used to work for a company that did that.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah. And tabletop. Oh yeah, everyone's chiming in, and don't sub. Just look at Stig's channel.
If you sub, you'll have to do more top 5s.
So that's a very good reason to sub.
It's not healthy for Christy.
Oh no, she laughs too hard. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, and be certain if you're going through some stupid mountain, just don't even bother with the army of the dead. Just go around it and just fight normal.